Hello there, Ben Bowers, the Spirit Specialist, and I am here today to talk to you about, this is really heavy, the English, a single cask bottling that is an exclusive for the Rolls Royce Enthusiasts Club. Now, I was the exclusive retailer for this when it was available just for club members only. However, of the 270 bottles of this, unfortunately, not as many club members bought bottles as I think they were hoping. So it is now available to the general public. It's entirely possible that there will be some other retailers that get this. However, we should all be the same price. So if you want to support a smaller retailer, such as myself, I would be very grateful if you were to get a bottle of this. And I do recommend it. Spoiler alert, this is something really special. But before I tell you what it tastes like, let me give you some background information about the English Whisky Distillery. I'm going to put this down because it's really hurt my arm. Let me tell you about the English Whisky Distillery and also the Rolls Royce Enthusiasts Club. The English Whisky Company is based at the St George's Distillery in Roundham, Norfolk, about 30 minutes southwest of Norwich. The first whisky distillery sited in England for 100 years, the Lee Valley Distillery in London was the last to operate in the country until its closure in 1905. It was founded in 2006 by father and son James and Andrew Nelstrop, who were part of generations of arable farmers but were looking to diversify their operations due to concerns with the future of the industry they'd spent years working in. Initially, Ian Henderson, previously the master distiller of Laphroaig, was brought on board to oversee operations, before being joined in 2008 and eventually replaced by the current master distiller David Fitt, who had previously been a master brewer with Green King and mentored with Ian until he was able to take over the reins. Sadly, James Nelstrop passed away in September 2014, but Andrew continues to drive the business forward with unbridled passion and enthusiasm. There is currently a core range of an unpeated original and a heavily peated smoky edition, as well as various peated and unpeated bottlings that have spent time in a variety of cask types. A partnership between the Rolls Royce Enthusiasts Club and the English Whisky Company saw samples from 6 different single casks being tasted by the directors of the club in early 2021 in order to select a specific bottling that would be exclusively available to club members only. In the case of the eventual chosen cask, New Make Spirit was filled into a 200-litre ex-Bourbon cask sourced from Jim Beam on the 31st of July 2014, before being disgorged on 6th of November 2018 to be transferred into another barrel that had been seasoned with Pedro Ximenez Sherry to add further rich and fruity flavours. It was then disgorged again in November 2021 for bottling, making it a 7-year-old, with no colour added or chill filtration taking place, and there are only 270 bottles in existence, bottled at a strength of 57% ABV. Right then, so this is the remnants of a bottle that I ended up opening for part a tasting event and also partly to give some customers a go of it, and also in some sample packs as well. So as I say, I was the exclusive retailer for this. The supplier that kind of put the whole thing together for the club asked me to be the retailer. So I've shipped some packages out overseas, which was an absolute nightmare. But unfortunately, there were still some bottles left over. So we've kind of come to an agreement that we are going to make this available to the general public. It does have on the back label some details about it in terms of the fact that this is for the RREC. And you've obviously got all the information on the front in terms of the ABV, the number of bottles, etc., etc. So, one of 4 casks that apparently were chosen. Is it 4 or 6? I can't remember. I've literally just done the voiceover for it as well. But it really does seem like they've picked an absolute cracker. So let me try and share with you why it is that much of a cracker. So on the nose, straight away, really, really intense, concentrated raisins in particular. There's almost a very slight mintiness on it, so concentrated in that fruit. And I get that every now and again, particularly with Christmas cake or gingerbread's another one that's incredibly intense, incredibly concentrated. You do get this almost slightly menthol note as well, but just the sheer concentration of fruit in it is incredible. And that's just on the nose. There's a touch of spice, there's sort of cinnamon in there, there's nutmeg. There's the merest hint of sort of dry chili flakes, but very, very subtle, very much in the background. It's overriding kind of dark fruit, black cherry, plum, damson, raisin, It's all those fruits that are really dark, not quite earthiness, but really, really intense, concentrated down even more. It's so full on the nose. And that absolutely carries on the palate. Some of you might have heard of a term called a sherry bomb. Sherried whiskey, sherry matured whiskey, where normally like a first fill sherry cask has been used, and you get a massive intensity of sherry fruit flavours, but dark fruitcake flavours. And a lot of them are called sherry bombs. So Glendronach, Glenallachie, Edredauer, that sort of thing, where you get this explosion of fruit. This is not a sherry bomb. This is not a sherry nuclear explosion. This is a sherry supernova. This is such an intensity of dark fruit, sweet flavours. It's absolutely incredible. It reminds me a hell of a lot of Abelard Abunard, which is one of my all-timers, and unfortunately underwent a price increase a few years back, which turned it from what was a fantastically valued whiskey to decent value whiskey, because of knowing what you could have got for it at the price. And it's now about the same price as this. And I would say if you're still enjoying Abunard and you're still happy to pay the price for it, absolutely give this a go. And you know, for the price, this is, I think, excellent value for money. The fact that it's a single cask, that it is bottled exclusively for a club such as the Rolls Royce Enthusiasts Club. There's a lot of kind of integrity behind this, which absolutely justifies the price point. Also, the fact it's an absolutely incredible whiskey. If you like fruitcake, if you like Christmassy things, there is a spiciness to this. And again, it's that spiciness that's on the nose. It's the cinnamon, it's the nutmeg, that touch of chili flakes, but it's really accentuating those deep, dark, fruity flavors. And even though it's bottled at 57%, the intensity of the fruitiness, and that was something I used to love about Abunard. That was one of the first ones where I realized that some cask strength whiskies, you don't necessarily need to add water to because of the intensity of the flavor. And this is another one of those where you don't need to add water to it. Now I realize I've actually was planning to put a little bit of water in some, and I haven't. But because I now have a Bluetooth headset, a Bluetooth microphone, I can now go into the kitchen, add a little bit of water, find my pipette. Fortunately, I don't have to search for that. While you stare at an empty screen, and I can come all the way back, and I don't even have to edit it. Although some of you are probably thinking, no, you bloody well should edit it, because why do I want to see a blank screen? Anyway, so and it also means that as I turn around to do things like this, I'm not pulling the camera over because I was attached on a wire. So let's put a little drop more of this in, although I'm running quite low on this. Should stop being so generous. And let's just put just a couple of drops in. Not much at all for this small amount. So yes, it's 57%, and you're more than welcome to add water to it. But the nose is slightly drier now it's had the water in. The spiciness that was there when it was neat is actually a little bit more pronounced. You get more of an oaky effect. Now, on the palate and on the nose at neat, it screams out Pedro Ximenez Sherry casks. And if I didn't know the background behind it, I would have said it's been fully matured in PX casks. There's not really any indication of that bourbon cask being used. There's not really that vanilla note, maybe a little bit of the spiciness. You get a bit more of an oakiness coming through now. You get a little bit more of that kind of slightly burnt caramel feel that you can get from some American whiskies. Once you add water to it, the bourbon cask influence, that Jim Beam cask that they use, becomes a little bit more apparent. There's a little bit more of a dry oak, dry spice. The fruitiness is still there, but whereas it was fruit at the top and then kind of spice and everything quite low down at the bottom neat, it's starting to be almost taking over that fruit level. It's spicier, it's got a little bit more to it now in terms of backbone, but personally, I prefer the fruit, on the nose at least. And that carries through on the palate. It's spicier, it's drier. The fruit is there, but it's very much tempered back. There is oak Not that it lengthens the finish, but it changes the finish as well. The finish is still quite long on this, but it's not as fruitcakey. It's more sort of classically sherry matured whiskey with that bourbon influence as well. I much prefer it neat. That's my personal taste. I think it just loses that intense fruitiness that I absolutely adore neat when you add water to it. But adding water to it takes it in a new direction and really does change it. And it's just my personal preference that I actually prefer it neat. It's an incredible whiskey. It's absolutely stunning. It's very much an autumn-winter whiskey. That deep fruit, the darkness, the richness, the round sort of unctuous feel of it. You know, the sweetness that's in there is almost liqueur-y. It feels like the sort of whiskey that should be drunk after a really good meal in a big leather armchair in front of a roaring log fire. If you like Glenallachie, if you like Edredour, if you like, what's the other Glen? Glendronach, that sort of feel. You know, if you like a cask strength Glenallachie, cask strength Glendronach, Aberlour Abunar, if you like any of those sort of whiskies, you're absolutely going to love this. This is stunning. This is so, so good. Like I say, it's not a sherry bomb. It's way more than that. It's this sherry supernova of just an explosion of dark fruit, and it's absolutely amazing. So it's available for $89.99. That was what club members paid. That is what you're going to pay. You do get it in there. So this is the standard bottle that the English do for their original, etc. This is actually their premium bottle, which weighs an effing ton. So you get a massive weight on the bottom. You get this big, thick, chunky cork. It's one of those big, thick, wide rims that's actually a little bit of a pain to pour, but it looks really, really impressive. And obviously you get it boxed as well. So it's available to purchase. Visit the website, www.spiritspecialist.com, or come in the shop. I've got a little bit left. So, you know, I've got that to go for customers that want to come in the shop and try it. But as I say, Glendronach, Glenallachie, Edredour, big, rich, sherry, full-on, rich, deep, unctuous whiskies. If you like that, you are absolutely going to love this. That's me done. I shall see you in the next video. Cheers.